Hey everybody, how you all doing out there? Welcome to Metis Matters Radio on the CFRO 100.5 FM. Yeah, well, I'm doing a little bit of a change in my studio, and I decided to play a song that Jason Lapine had also recorded, which is the Red River Jig. And I thought I wanted to play his version as the fiddle player, so that was pretty cool, but a little short. It's his is not as long as others, but it's still good. I love it, right? Thank you guys for joining me on Facebook as well as on YouTube, and we are live, yes, here in the studio. And this is Metis Matters Radio. I'm your host, Eric West Guy Clud. If you don't know who I am, Tanchikiwa, saying hello to all of you. Yes, I'm here. Anyways, update you guys what's going on in our Metis community. So many things have happened. Yeah, like crazy stuff. I mean, we're still trying to get all the word out to everybody, what's going on in the rest of the world. And that's my plan. That's what I've been trying to do. Pardon me. So I had a sneeze before it started, so my throat started like, oh, hoarse. But yeah, I'm here. And so what we're talking about, last week we did have our elder Taz come on the program. And so Taz actually interviewed her regarding what happened to her a few weeks ago. There was a Catholic church, a Polish Catholic church that in Edmonton, Alberta, here in Canada, and a group of people, and like she shared her story. And even before she even got out of her car, the Polish people were, and I couldn't figure that. She could figure it out, but before she even was able to park or get out of her car, they were on top of her, like basically, literally invading her space, so to speak. And I guess with the young people that were with her, and she was actually again asking for an apology from the Catholic priest, who actually had and on a video did deny the fact that any of this ever actually happened. He's saying that no child ever suffered or died in the hands of any priest or reverend in any Catholic church or any other church, and that it's all in our imagination. So basically, everyone took very. And the other thing is that he said it in Polish, in his language, but apparently Taz, she got a hold of someone who she can translate the Polish language, and when it got translated, saying that this is what this whole thing's about, and just acknowledging, plus they're saying there was all imagination, that they had nothing to do with it, of all their unmarked graves of all the children. It gets to be crazy, folks. I mean, I'm telling you, this is nuts, right? So in the meantime, just to update you folks out there, what we have so far, and I will show you on my Facebook screen, but it's kind of disheartening, but it's getting bigger and bigger, because this is what we have so far. So as you see here, and I will bring this up on the screen, but it's actually, there's 6,128 current number of Native children that actually were recovered under the unmarked graves. And there's 3,213 that are documented in the TRC report. Now, at the very beginning, when it started, it was 215 from Kamloops in the BC region, also 104 in Brandon, Manitoba, 161 in in Fort Providence, Northwest Territories. 35 were found in the Musqueam, Saskatchewan. 751 in Cowessee First Nations, Saskatchewan. 182 was Canucks Nation, BC. Also, there's 160 of the Penelakut, Saskatchewan. 35 found in Regina, Saskatchewan. 39 found in Dunbow, Alberta. 74 found in Battleford, Saskatchewan. 80 of them are found in Winnipeg, Manitoba. There were 227 found in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, I believe. 189 Carlisle, Pennsylvania. 21 in Grand Junction, Colorado. 50 were found in Rapid City, South Dakota. 103 in Haskell, Kansas. 200 in Carson City, Nevada. 2 in Chemawa, Oregon. 67 in Newkirk, I think it's okay. It said okay. I'm not sure that area is. I think it's Okanagan or not. Arkansas, probably. I could be wrong. 67 Riverside, California. So there's more. That means that, and the grand total so far is 6,128 that have been found unmarked graves of First Nations and Métis children. So again, and possibly maybe a few more of others. So the thing is that it's pretty crazy out there, folks. It's sickening to know what was there, how many young ones have been found. That's why I said this Polish priest is actually denying the fact that none of these children ever were. I mean, these are all kids that are buried in unmarked graves, and some person who probably was paid. I'm hoping not. And they're denying, some of the First Nations are denying that those unmarked graves were just common unmarked graves that had nothing to do with residential schools. Well, sorry folks, I don't believe that. It's just too I don't know. That's just the way I'm saying it. So if you have a disagreement, that's fine. I understand. But again, gets to be pretty crazy. So as of September the 30th, coming up, it is honoring the Every Child Matters. And one thing that really gets me, and I remember I was talking to, again, our elder Taz and a few others on the program, and we all agreed. The thing is, they made it this, I mean, I wonder, let's put it this way. They made September the 30th, which is the very first time of 2021, the first year, of making it into a national holiday or a Canadian holiday. Well, number one, this is now, if it's considered as a national holiday, that means all the government workers that are non-Indigenous, get to take that day off with pay. What has this got to do with the missing children? What has this got to do with Every Child Matters? These are people that have not gone missing. Their families, their children never gone missing, but they're made it to a national holiday. That doesn't make any sense. I would rather make it into a recognition day, like in the States, Martin Luther King, if it's a national day. I'm not sure it's a holiday, but National Day of Recognition of this person's loss of his life, that's fine. But having to make it into a national holiday like Victoria's birthday, that doesn't make any sense. You're just making it more more colonial again. And these people have distorted what our goal was for, basically, is letting the public know, the listeners, the public know, should not be a national holiday. It should be a day of recognition, day of recognizing the fact that these children, over 6,000 so far, probably now as in maybe over 7,000, that was just since September the 17th, the last count, September the 17th, right now. So it's a lot different compared to what it was before. So the thing is that when I'm trying to point out there needs to be some changes. There needs to be, again, they need to look back in the cabinet. Now that Justin Trudeau is re-elected as the Prime Minister of Canada, I won't say anything. I'm not saying a word because I'm not supposed to yet. That's all I can say because I'm under the CRTC rules, bylaw rules. But after, I may say some words later on. But right now, I can't. That's under the guidelines, which that's fine. That's their rule. That's their rule. But anyways, what I want to bring up, folks, is that the fact is that this, again, like they should look at this because it should never be considered a holiday. It's like saying, well, okay, now these kids have died, recognizing they died, and this is supposed to be every child mouse. Well, we'll go on a vacation. We'll take a day off, and we're going to fly to somewhere. That has nothing to do with who are you going to do this for? The kids that have gone missing? It doesn't make any sense. So it's supposed to be like people call it Orange Shirt Day. Now, the people may not know. Why do we use orange shirts? Well, it's because recognizing the young lady who actually had worn a regular orange shirt, not a t-shirt, and she wore that. That was her pride and joy, wearing an orange shirt when she was a little girl going to residential school, and the nun ripped it off of her and threw it in the garbage and burnt it. Okay? She burnt her orange shirt and got her to wear residential school clothing. This is the reason why why this all came around. Okay? So when she went through trauma through the years of residential school, it came to the point where something had to be done. And here she is, she's all grown up, and I was part of the Truth and Reconciliation myself back in 2008, representing the Métis. And there was over 250 of us that did gather at the River Cree Resort. And it was a healing program, plus it was also to acknowledge Health Canada, that we need for them to acknowledge us and what our people went through, what they suffered, and basically recognize the fact what went on. Now, this is called the Truth and Reconciliation, and a lot of people today right now are saying that nothing really came about during Truth and Reconciliation. Well, some of it did, and some of it did not. Some people got satisfaction. Some of them actually got paid in return of monies to basically call it silent money. Once you receive some monies, then they get you to sign a piece of paper and you can't complain about it any longer. It means if you went further with it, the government actually has an opportunity to sue you for everything. So either way, you never really got satisfaction. You're just getting paid off to be silenced. That's typical government. What there should have been done, sure, is recognize every child matters. And you want to acknowledge September 30th. Wonderful. I'm all for it. I've been doing it for a long time now. Wearing orange shirts. Yes, folks, let's do this. September 30th, waking up, right? Now, there's also what I'm also was sent to your information. I've been seeing it constantly on the internet. I want to bring this up. We have companies, including Walmart, that are not even using any of this money to help support Indigenous communities. Walmart is making Every Child Matters t-shirts, and they're making money off these shirts, $15 a piece, sometimes more. Other businesses are actually going online. China, they're going online. They're stealing people's copy of their art that relates to Every Child Matters. They're making profit online, on Facebook, any social network, trying to sell the t-shirts, make money on running shoes. They put it on their running shoes, any kind of clothing, anything to do with accessories. Now they're putting Every Child Matters on accessories, all Chinese made, not made by our people. Does that money go back to our people? No. I asked. When I phoned them and asked them if any of this money's been donated, they had no idea what I was talking about, because they're told to manufacture these products because they need to make the almighty dollar. So they're taking a disadvantage of an Indigenous person, like they did for generations, our dream catchers and the products that we've been making by hand, our crafts, our Indigenous crafts, and they've been stealing that too, and I'm mad. They've been stealing that too and selling it and calling it us a myth in their wording, according to Native American myth. We are not a myth. We are still here. I think they are mything something in their own brain that needs to be looked at. Right? In the United States, that protects all non-Indigenous people, Indigenous people that do their craft, and if anyone who is non-Indigenous and trying to sell something off as Native American made or Indigenous made, they're fined $5 million and 6 months in prison. That is a Indigenous Crafts Act in the United States. We don't have that in Canada, and that's why they're getting away with it here. This act should be placed here in this country as well. I am looking for people who are willing to step up and step forward and bring this up forward to our federal government and have this act placed. It's vitally important. Enough is enough. Too many people are stealing our designs, our crafts that are non-Indigenous, making profit off of us with no return to the designer or the crafter. That needs to be looked at. That needs to come to attention. Everyone's focusing on the COVID. No one's talking about anything else but that. We all have to earn a living somehow. And this is what I do for a living. I make my own crafts, Indigenous crafts. Everyone else out there, we got so many mom-pop businesses that are trying to survive. And they've attempted, in the States, there's lots of powwows now. In the States, everyone's doing fine up there. But in Canada, we're still not even allowed to gather. Why? Because everybody has to have a card and a pass. You have to have a vax pass to go to what? To gather? No. I'm sorry, folks. There is a limit to me. So you can hate me for it or like me for it. I don't care. This has got to stop. We need our Indigenous crafts. We need to be recognized for our hard work. And there's some really great people out there that are artists, artisans. I'm telling you, there's so many talented people out there. And anytime we make something, there's always a group of people that are non-Indigenous, and they start to copy them, and they'll sell them off as theirs, or they'll say, "Oh yeah, this artist did this. I'm just selling it for them." You find out later that they're not. They're just copying it, make a living out of it. It's got to stop. So, like I said before, September 30th is coming up, pretty quick. But like you guys, if you're able to find those orange shirts, and I've been told, I'm actually a director of the Lower Fraser Valley Aboriginal Society, which I'm a director on that board. And every year we make up T-shirts. We make orange T-shirts to recognize Every Child Matters. This year, and here, listen to this, folks. This year, there's a shortage of orange shirts. A shortage of orange shirts. So now we're doing an alternative. The shirt is black with orange writing under the Truth Reconciliation. So what we are doing right now, and I'll share this with you, and I'll direct this with my camera here. But you are invited to our open house event. Lower Fraser Valley Aboriginal Society is turning 21 years old. We are holding our annual open house and Orange Shirt Day in honor of survivors of residential school and those who did not return. On Saturday, September 25th, 2012, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is where it started. So, this is funny. September 20, 2012. I think they put the date backwards. I just noticed that. So, or is this an old one? I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, this is what they did. So basically, this National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. This is the true one. They just backwards did. I just noticed this now. Look, folks, they backwards the 2012. I wonder what happened there. Actually, supposed to be 2021, so it's not an old one. So if you want to find this location to come down, we'd love to see you guys. If you're in this area of Langley in British Columbia, Saturday, September 25th, 2021, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 20644 East Lee Crescent here in Langley. To offer space for distancing, we will be outside of our veranda. Please dress according to the weather. Yeah, because last year the weather was great. It was nice and warm. There will be snacks, giveaways for first 50 people, and the shirts are for sale. We are taking every precaution necessary as required by government to protect the health and safety of our employees and clients. We are honored to live and work on the traditional unceded territories of the Katzie, Kwantlen, Matsqui, and Semiahmoo First Nations. If you want to find out, folks, you can contact the phone number 778-2006. That's 778-278-2006. And if you want to contact them even sooner, that's you can go to the www.lfvas.org, right? lfvas.org if you want to order your t-shirt. Like I said before, this year the t-shirts are black with orange because the stores, all of the t-shirt stores ran out of orange shirts. So now, unless you can find them, that's fine. But right now, we looked. In fact, the manufacturer we went to, they ran out of orange shirts because everything is orange this year. It's nuts. Absolutely nuts, right? Okay. I want to say this before I forget. The views expressed and opinions given by myself, the host, and my guests do not necessarily reflect those of the CFRO 100.5 FM, your cooperative radio network, its affiliates, and or sponsors. Now, also before I forget, too, we actually, like I said before, that throughout every week I've been talking about the ground penetrating radar. A lot of people really don't know what they are, but what they are, that they look like a lawnmower, so to speak, and it goes across the land and actually will. It's like a little radar piece, and it actually will find what's under the ground, and you can look for obstructions or structures or designs, and that's how they're able to find the bodies of the children. So just to let you know what this is all about. Again, repeat one more time, September 30th, Every Child Matters. And I did say, like I said before, if you guys can do me a favor, if you're ever in the Walmarts, have a look for those. And if they are in the Walmarts, boycott the Walmart. Let them know they can't do that. That's actually totally wrong. That's stealing our art because a lot of these artists did not give permission. Many of them actually have noticed that their art is being used by Walmart and other companies that have not got permission whatsoever, and they're making money off these shirts by none whatsoever of any returns to the person or the artist that actually has designed these. So please stand for them. I would love to hear from you if you know of any other companies or organizations that are doing this without permission. Thank you. If you want to contact me at Metis Matters Radio at gmail.com. That's Metis Matters Radio at gmail.com. Let's see here. Coming up, let's see. I want to go through. I want to play a song, or let's see. We're going to take a break, and let's see what's new. I'm again going to go back to Jason Lapine did a CD back in 2014 called "Driven Force," and I've had Jason Lapine on my program a couple of years ago, and I think it'd be kind of cool to, let's see here. We're going to do the Caribou Reel. Yeah. You're listening to CFRO 100.5 FM, and I'm your host, Eric Westside Cloud. We'll be right back, guys, and you'll be seeing us. Yeah, we are back, and thank you guys for joining me on Metis Matters Radio on the CFRO 100.5 FM. And we have lots to talk about. Let's a few more things to do, and also what I want to bring up right now was say that was Jason Lapine. It's called Caribou Reel. Another editorial I want to talk about is dance recognition of Métis survivors at Second Residential School Vigil. Now, this actually was done back in July 11th of this past year, but I've never known of its existence, of anybody talking about it. And for some reason, it ended up in a column, and I guess I think it's about time to even share this. But it's tiresome to be pushed down and get back up again, said Melvin John, co-founder of Kihiwin Native Dance Theater, and he who was in Cold Lake on July 4th for a second vigil to remember and honor those who died in the Indian residential schools. Since the first Cold Lake Vigil, organized by Gabriel Whiskey Jack and Kelly Orr, on May 31st, the total of children removed from the graves around residential schools in both the United States and Canada had risen to 1,505. And again, this was in July of this year. About 25 people attended this second vigil that included speeches from several local survivors of residential schools and a spiel that we were worthless, said John, recalling his own name in residential school. He wore an orange shirt that had residential school survivor written across the front in black. They took us and sanitized us and threw us back onto the streets, telling us that we were dirty, he said. John recalled how he and his siblings were making panic when social services arranged to have them taken away. The children took off and hid in the woods and were found and removed from the family homes. Eventually, John would end up in the residential school for 6 years. My darkest hour in residential school is not knowing what I did wrong, said John, but recalled the school was wet and damp, and they liked to remind us of their hell, and, well, we were living it. As John grew older, he was able to find a group of artists who experienced the same pain. I wanted to tell our story in the way people can laugh and cry, he said. John went on to create the Kihuiwan Native Dance Theater with his wife Rosa and toured storytelling and dance shows all over the world. I was lucky, said John. With him at the vigil with his granddaughter Manaya Duncan, who danced a healing jingle dress. Métis survivors want to be included in reconciliation. One of the several other speakers at the event was Teresa Taylor, a resident of Elizabeth Métis settlement. Her mother was a student at the Ile Lacrosse boarding school, and that's still a residential school, folks. We're the forgotten people, said Taylor about Métis experiences in residential schools. Métis organizations and the Canadian government are still at odds over the recognition of Métis residential school survivors. And most Métis residential school survivors have not acknowledged for their suffering. While Canada's residential school settlement agreement included some Métis in the common experience payments, and many who attended day schools, provincially funded schools, and other types of residential schools were not recognized in the settlement. Anything to do with, folks, before we're going to further call them, anything that's a residential, boarding school, they call either factory school or industrial school or day school, that's all been run by the church and to the First Nations children. The Métis National Council continues to seek compensation for residential school survivors. The vigil concluded with a round dance and songs by the Johns. Whiskey Jack said there is another vigil planned for August. And I'll show you guys the picture, but you may not see it on the page, but this is what it looks like. It was wonderful with how they were dancing. I think it was a teepee there, but it's an open poled teepee. Looks really nice. So anyways, like I said before, these are, this happens from all over, and especially in now Cold Lake. My wife actually lived in Cold Lake on the reserve there. And there actually is a Métis reservation in Cold Lake. So it's not just of First Nations only. So a lot of the First Nations and Métis live together on reservations. That's very common. Let's see here. We'll go with this one here. Tekelups, I can say this right. TKEMLUPS. And I hope I say this right. Timlups, calling on world to join in on drumming on the National Day of Truth Reconciliation. Basically, this is the band, and also the Simpk Nation are calling on people worldwide to drum simultaneously for the missing children of Indian residential schools for the first Canadian National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, a new national statutory holiday that is marked on September the 30th. Roseanne Casimir said the drumming will take place at 2:15 p.m., noting that the time was chosen as 215, which is the children that was missing, was a number that made the ripple through the world, referring to the probable graves of children discovered on the ground of the former Kamloops Indian Residential School in May of this past year. A subsequent press conference noted the number of probable graves is about 200. It's time to honor the children and unrelenting spirit of these ancestors, Casimir said. It's time to drum for healing of the Indian Residential School survivors who carried the burden of knowing where the children were buried, and to drum for the healing of the families and communities whose children did not come home. The Simpk are urging everyone to learn their honor song, which can be found online. We invite you to share this song, to teach it and record it in schools and workplaces and living rooms. The SIMP is also calling upon the world to help us shine a light on truth, the pursuit of justice and peace, as well as healing for all affected by these beloved missing children. The confirmation of the missing children has impacted people locally, regionally, and nationally, and even globally. The SIMP elders have said that it is the children that are going to bring us together. We want to make the world a better place for children everywhere and give them hope and assurances that every child matters. And there is a ceremony in the SIMP Powwow Arbor, and it is not yet known if the public can attend, pending their pandemic-related restrictions. So there is a song, and I'm going to see if I can play it. It's not copyrighted, folks. It's open for everyone to share. So I'm going to share this with you now. And it'll repeat itself over, which is great. So if you guys ever come across that song, if you want to learn about it, learn the song. It's a sharing song. It's also honoring 215 children plus. So yeah, it's wonderful to do this. So let's see what's coming up next. One more editorial, and that is report makes 13 calls to action support Indigenous youth mental health. And this is an interesting one. First Nations call on the province to improve mental health services and in the Indigenous communities. First Nations leaders are calling on the government of New Brunswick to improve mental health and suicide prevention services for youth in their communities. And it's a report called No Child Left Behind. The First Nation Advisory Council has 13 calls to action, it is said, will help lower the high rate of suicide in First Nations communities. The report was presented at St. Mary's First Nations on Tuesday morning, and several Malastiki and Mi'kmaq chiefs and leaders were present. In our communities, youth and children are our most precious assets, said the Chief Rose Purley of the Tubik First Nation, and that's why the importance of youth mental health in Indigenous communities is a priority for us leaders. Purley said that at 39 years old, he has lost 7 friends to suicide. They lost their strength, and they lost their spirit to addictions, and there was no resources to their help to help them when they needed it most, and that's why this is so important. The suicide rate for Indigenous people is 3 times the national average, and for young Indigenous men aged between 15 and 24, it's 5 times higher than it is for those who aren't Indigenous, and said Roxanne Sapier. Sapier is co-chair of the First Nations Advisory Council and has been the Director of Health at the Tubik First Nations for 20 years. And she said that she felt hopeful upon delivering the report, and I'm really happy to hear that the child and youth advocate community supports our calls to action and that the work that they've done. And I'm hoping that government will also listen and try to do good on these calls to action and work with us. There were no representatives for the provincial government present Tuesday, and it's a little disheartening to know that they're not physically here, because I'd like to see them, I guess, demonstrate that they are very committed to this work, and said Sapieha. So that's a little discouraging, but I do feel that I know some of my colleagues that I work with, and I know that they are very committed as well. Leading the call to action are 3 recommendations related to recognizing Indigenous language and culture, which Sapieha and others said is directly related to the generational trauma people in First Nation communities face. Now, if you know your language and you know your teachings and the land that you come from, and you have that spiritual strength within you built up, that's resilience, said Sapieha. But that's your protective factor that gives you the sense of, hope, meaning, belonging, and purpose in life. And without that, Sapieha said, vulnerability sets in. Now, you get the opposite effect. You don't have as much meaning, purpose, hope, and belonging. Now, the first to call is to have the Mi'kmaq Pescatawak, okay, I say this correctly, Pesco Tamakitei and Ulatiki languages be formally recognized by provincial legislation. Other calls to action include Indigenous communities and the province. Province of Brunswick and other organizations working together to effect changes in the healthcare structures and process, now such as a service delivery design policy with the long-term goal of cultural safety and improved mental health outcomes for Indigenous people. Now, the council also wants increased transparency and on how the federal health transfer funding to New Brunswick is spent on Indigenous mental health services. Right now, Sapieha says they have no idea how much is spent on Indigenous services. We will make a request to get a report on that, and we're still waiting for that. The report also calls for several changes to the education system to not only measure academic success, but include the cultural practices of Indigenous people. Deputy Child and Youth Advocate Christian Whalen said now is the time for the government to act on these calls. And this is not a report that we intend to have sit on the shelf, he said. We will be revisiting this report regularly in intervals with government and tracking the implementation of the calls to action and our recommendations as well. The First Nations Advisory Council has established by the Child and Youth Advocate to provide guidance of feedback for their provincial review on youth suicide and mental health services, prompted by the death of 16-year-old Lexi Deacon, who took her town life after she was unable to access mental health services in Fredericton. This is probably all to do with what's going on now. The council is comprised of elders, First Nation youth, health professionals, and service providers. The report was commissioned in March, and the first meeting was in April. Since then, we've lost a number of youth, and I think about 6 in our communities, says Sapieha. Our health systems and supports need to improve so that no family has to experience this kind of loss, and of course, so that no child is left behind. So now you guys know. This is, and again, I know very well that these kids are losing their lives, and it's all to do with what we're dealing with now. Right? Because there has been a lot of major amount of suicides, a lot more kids actually committed suicide, and it's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. They have not just learned, they're just beginning to learn about their lives right now. So let's see here. Coming up also, Mr. Keith Henry, who's the president of the BC Métis Federation as well. He's also the CEO of Indigenous Tourism Canada. Keith is going to be starting up Métis Coffee Talk back again. And Métis Coffee Talk was going on for a long time now. Keith actually was running doing his show for the longest time for I would say about maybe 5 or 6 years. Yeah, probably around there. So what he's doing right now, Keith will be is coming back. Metis Talk is President Henry will provide updates on programming services and discuss important issues affecting the B. So you want Thursday? Keep that date. Thursday, September 23rd. Okay, which is tomorrow. Okay, that tomorrow, as in today, tomorrow. Live at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right to here on Facebook. So he's going to be doing Facebook Live with Metis Coffee Talk. If you have any questions or topics you want to talk about with Keith Henry, you can contact him, k.henry@bcmetis.com. And let's see, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to swing this over, and there you go. So you can actually look him up right inside there. There you go. That's k.henry@bcmetis.com. You can contact him if you have any questions you want to ask. Feel free to. He would love to hear from you, right? So it's been busy for all of us, I guess, eh? For me, like I said, folks, I'm actually working off of two sites. I'm actually doing Facebook Live with Facebook as well as YouTube. So I'm running back and forth. So if you're unable to see me on Facebook, you can back and see me in YouTube. I'm going back this way. So I'm kicking up a notch, and then later on down the road, when I get to use this OBS program, I get to be able to swing in pictures and editorials right on the same screen where I'm on. So it's going to look pretty cool when I get this all worked out. But I had to upgrade my computer. Well, after I actually did, but I was having troubles with it. I couldn't figure out what was going on. So now it's working quite well, getting better. Let's see, what else is there? Anything else? I would say we're good. And I'm going to play a song, folks. I think it's time for we actually play a song. And I'll throw some, let's see. Let's talk about a few of these. So I'm going to share these with you guys. And
Radio Vancouver, local and not so local music. A music show that tells you where and when you can see and hear live music. With band dates, live musical guests, and a few surprises too. Radio Vancouver, Wednesdays, 3:30 to 5. It doesn't just play music and go home, it's out there, absorbing it. Experience Vancouver on Facebook at facebook.com/Vancouver. Radio Vancouver, Wednesdays, 3:30 to 5 p.m. on Co-op Radio.
Hi, I'm Gennaro O'Sullivan.
And I'm Woody Morrison.
Join us every Monday from 1 to 2:30 p.m.
on When Spirit Whispers, the First Nations program.
We cover truth and reconciliation,
art, music, politics, current and cultural events.
Give us a call, 604-684-7561. Don't forget to join us every Monday from 1 to 2:30 p.m. on When Spirit Whispers. I'm like a motherless child.
If you want to listen to us anywhere you travel, you can go into your Google Play Store and then download the Radio Player Canada app, and you can listen to your favorite radio station, Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM.
Yeah, that was Jason Lapine and his, he's got a medley called the Gillette Real Blue Mountain Hornpipe. That's all that and some. And so I want to thank you guys for joining me on Metis Matters Radio, and I'm calling it the night now and share with a lot of editorials. Please share, like and share everything that you see with Metis Matters Radio. I've been doing it for the last little over 3.5 years now for the Lake Ken Fisher and the BC Métis Federation. So some people say, you know, like your name is different. Well, it's because I chose that. That's that's who I am. That's who I am. So, like every other radio show host, I like to have fun and share with you what's going on in the Métis community. Anyways, guys, you guys be good to each other, and Kwapitanina. We'll see you next week on Metis Matters Radio.